So we're now on Daf Kuf Yud Gimel Amid Beis. Kan Gedi Izim. So from the fact that in the parsha of Mechiras Yosef it says Gedi Izim, that's a miyut to tell me Gedi is only goats. Hakol Mokom Shenevar Gedi Stam. Afilu Para V'Rachel B'Mashma. Even a cow or a sheep is included under Gedi Stam. Because if the Torah was excluding anything but a goat, then it would have said Gedi Izim. So the Gemara says, I don't get it. V'nelef minei. Why don't you assume that if the Torah says that Gedi is Izim, and the Torah attaches that description to the word Gedi and adds the word Izim, that it means Gedi means Izim. And let Gedi Izim in the parsha of Yosef be a binyan. And the answer is we're going to have another miyut. And then we're going to apply the principle of ein miyut achar miyut l'rabos. Ksiv kra'achrino. We have another pasuk. And this is the pasuk of Rivka, when she sends in Yaakov to steal the brachos, she tells Yaakov first to go ahead and slaughter Gedi Izim, and then dress up Yaakov in the hair of the Gedi and fool Yitzchak that it's Esav. And it says there, Ves oros Gedoye ha'izim. And therefore it's kan Gedoy Izim, Hakol Maku Shenemer Gedoy Stam Afilu Para Rochav Mashma. Frekting Gemara V'Leilf Minei. Adarab. If the Torah consistently adds Izim to the word Gedi, let's assume that it's a binyan av, and it's telling me that Gedi Stam is Gedi Izim. Havile Shnei Ksuvim Abam Kiechad V'Kol Shnei Ksuvim Abachech Ein Melamdin. We have two miyutim. One miyut says Gedi Izim in the parsha of Yosef. The other miyut is in the parsha of Rivka and Yaakov. And there also we have a miyut that says Gedi Izim. And now that the Torah has to say Izim twice and double up the miyut, that's called a ribui. To tell me that in general we could be marbeh all animals under Gedi, and Gedi is just a prototype of all animals. So we include sheep and goats and ewes and whatever have you. Wait a minute. Not everybody agrees that ein miyud el acha miyud el mavas. So anich l'man diom miyud. But el l'man diom melamdin, if you have two miyud is melamed, is Michael Meimar. So then we're going to say that these two miyutim are teaching me that whenever it says Gedi, it means izim and only izim, to the exclusion of any other animals like sheep and cows. And the Gemara answers, Trei mi'ut eksive izim ha-izim. Now we introduce that extra hey, and the extra hey is coming to tell you that only in these cases it's ha-izim, it's goats, implying that in all other cases when it says Gedi Stam without the extra hey, it refers to all animals, and the Gedi is just a prototype of Behema, and it includes sheep and cows as well. Omar Shmuel. Now, Shmuel, at this point in the sugya, is going to come up with 6 different drushos, 3 of which are ribuyim, to expand the scope and the application of basa b'cholov, and 3 of which are mi'utim, to restrict the application of basa b'cholov. 6 all told. Now, how so? I mean, the Torah only repeats the word Gedi 3 times. So how does he come up with 6 drushos? Anyway, we'll get to that. Gedi. So now we're on the mode of ribui. And there are 3 times that the Torah says Gedi to be marben, to expand the scope and the application of basa b'cholov. The Rabbos, number 1, es hachelev, That means you take the chaylev, it's called basar, and you cook it with milk. You violate basar b'chalav. Gedi, the second gedi, as a ribu is l'rabos esamesa, meaning you take a nevela and you cook it with milk. You violate basar b'chalav. And gedi, the third ribu of gedi, because it says gedi 3 times, hasholil. Sholil means the fetus that you find inside its mother's womb. And after you slaughter the animal, the fetus itself is considered basar. It's considered included in a gedi under the third ribui. Whole discussion here in the Achronim as to why I need a ribui. What would I have thought otherwise about the fetus? But in any event, now we get up to 3 gedis as mi'utim, which are now, instead of expanding the scope of Bas B'chov, they're limiting the scope of Bas B'chov. Number 1, gedi lahotzias adam. If, let's say, you take dam and you cook it with milk, that's not basar. Dam is not basar. I'm a little perplexed here because I don't even understand the havamina that dam would be basar. But I guess since it's in the animal's body and it's called gedi in that sense, this is dam shel gedi, you might have a havamina that that's also called gedi. Number 2, gedi lahotzias hashilya, right? We spoke about the shalil. The shalil is the fetus. The fetus in its mother's womb is covered by a placenta, and the placenta is called pirsha bialma. It's like nothing. It's pardon the expression, it's like garbage as far as basar is concerned. And therefore, if you take the shilya and you cook it with milk, you don't violate any basar b'chol. Number 3, gedi lahotzias hatmeya. I need a third gedi, argues Shmuel, to exclude that which is not similar to a gedi. Gedi is a paradigm of a kosher animal as opposed to a non-kosher animal. So you take the basar of a pig and you cook it with milk. You don't violate any isur. Now, after all these 6 drashos, Shmuel focuses attention on a different part of the pasuk, not the word gedi, but rather the word chalev imo, the milk of its mother. The mother is a female. V'lo b'chalev zachar. Now, again, you have to look at AI and see, if there's such a reality as a male goat that has milk. I don't know. Maybe some sort of mutation in which the male has male genitals, but on the other hand, it has udders, and you get some milk out of it. But that milk is not called meat. Milk. The Torah doesn't define it as milk. Doesn't have a chal shem chal. Weiter. B'chalav imo, v'lo b'chalav shchuta. So what does this mean? After you shechted the animal, you extracted its milk. So I guess as long as the animal's alive, that milk could, the mother could feed its young, and therefore you have chalav imo. But after the animal is already slaughtered, it's not chalav imo that the mother could nurse its young. And weiter chalav imo v'lo b'chalav tmeya. So just like we excluded the basar of a non-kosher animal, we exclude the chalav of a non-kosher animal. So first the Gemara says, what's going on over here? Hatlasa gedi ksiva v'anan shisa darshina. Shmuel had derived 6 halachas from the word gedi, 3 to expand and 3 to restrict, ribui and miyut. But Ribbon Shalom, the word gedi only appears in the Torah 3 times. So now the balance of our sugya and analysis today is try to prove that although Shmuel, on the face of it, seems to be deriving 6 different halachas from the word gedi and its repetition, but that's not so. He really only needs 2 out of the 6. And the third gedi is to tell you the halach itself. Because Savar Shmuel, Iser Chalal Iser, the Iser Chelev, Umesa, Mechad Kroi Nafka. If I understand the Gemara correctly, Shmuel sees in one word Gedi out of the three that Iser is Chalal Iser. So therefore, if you have Chelev, which is Osir Midin Chelev, or if you have Nevela, which is Osir already Midin Nevela, then one word Gedi is going to kill two birds with one stone. It's going to teach me that Iser Chalal Iser, and that the Iser Basar B'Chalav will now be Chal on top of, piggybacked on top of Chelev and Nevela. When you cook Chelev with milk, or you cook the Nevela with milk. However, Dam Nami Lav Gidiu. In the case of Dam, I don't need a pasuk. As we said earlier, it's absolutely understood that Dam is not Basar, it's not Gidi. You couldn't even, in your wildest dreams, classify Dam as Gidi. Shilyanami Pirsha V'Almahu. I don't need a pasuk to exclude the placenta. The placenta is only, it's only Pirsha. It's like garbage. It's extraneous matter. So far we need one Gedi to teach me that Iser Chalal Iser. Hoshulu Trey, we're left with two extra Gedis. So what do we really need Gedi for? Number one, Chad L'Rabos HaShalil. Again, we never actually came to grips with it. I told you it's a discussion in the Achronim, but there was a Havamina that the fetus is not considered Gedi, and for that I need a special ribui, the number 2 ribui of Gedi. And Chad, now we go to the other 3 drashos, meaning exclusion. And as we said before, we don't have to exclude Dam, we don't have to exclude the what's it called? The Shilya, right? Those are understood that they're not Gedi. But I need a mute to exclude a non-kosher animal. Because since Gedi includes all animals, we would include even a non-kosher animal in Gedi, and it's Basa. It's not Dam, and it's not a Shilya. So at the end of the day, let's just calculate what 3 out of 6 Gedi we need for drushes. Number 1, we need 1 Gedi for Chelev and Nevela to teach me that Iser Chalal Iser. Number 2, we need another Gedi to include the Shilya. I'm sorry, the Shliya. The words are so similar because they're both. Anyway, and 1 to exclude a non-kosher animal. Frek the Gemara, you need a pasuk according to Shmuel to teach you that Iser Chalal Iser. On the contrary, Shmuel holds it ain't Iser Chalal Iser. Savar Shmuel Iser Chalal Iser, Hamar Shmuel Mishum Rabbi Eliezer. Now at this point, the Gemara assumes that if Shmuel is quoting halach in the name of Rabbi Eliezer, who was generations before Shmuel, then we have to assume he accepts Rabbi Eliezer. Later on, the Gemara is going to say that Shmuel was just reporting and transmitting Rabbi Eliezer, but he didn't agree with Rabbi Eliezer. Is Rabbi Eliezer says, "Minayin lekoin tomi she'achal truma tmeya she'ena b'misa shenemar umesu bo ki yechalu prat lezu shemechuleles v'omedes." Right. So there's one iser of a kohen, of a kohen tar to eat truma tmeya. There's another iser of a kohen tame to eat truma tmeya, and if you piggyback both, and the Kohen is Tamei, and the Truma is Tmeya, then what would be the deal? And the answer is that Rabbi Eliezer needs a special pasuk to exclude this case Because why does the Torah impose such a severe Isur on a Kohen Tamei who eats Truma Tahora? It's because Ki Chalu, he's being Mechalel the Kedushas Truma. And it's so severe that as a result of the Kohen Tamei eating Truma Tahora, he incurs a Chi of Misa. It's called Misa B'dei Shamayim. Mesu Bo Ki Chalu. Now, apparently, Rabbi Elazar's drasha is telling me that in this case where the truma itself is tmeya, and there's already an isur where the kohen is Torah tamei to eat that truma tmeya, then we're going to apply the principle of ein isur chalal isur. And if the kohen himself is also tamei, not only is the truma tmeya, but the kohen is tamei, then the isur of eating this truma is not chal because ein isur chalal isur. And from the fact that Shmuel quotes this halacha, which is predicated on ein isur chalal isur, or shall we say derived from umesu bo ki chalu, therefore Shmuel must agree that ein isur chalal isur, and all that we developed in terms of the drashas of Shmuel was that isur is chalal isur, derived from the Gedi that tells me about Bas B'cholav in the case of Nevela and in the case of Chalev, both of which are asur anyway. Iba is saying one answer. I forgot how many answers there are, at least three. One answer, I think there are four. Anyway, one answer is that the Alma Isur Chal Isur. We're going to assume that Shmuel holds that in general, even according to Rabbi Elazar, Isur should be Chal and Isur. And he should be Chayav for a Kohen Tamei eating Truma, even if the Truma is already Tmeya. V'shiny Hossam. So why is it that Rabbi Elazar is reported by Shmuel as saying that if the Kohen is Tamei and the Truma is also Tmeya, that he doesn't get Misa B'dei Shamayim for eating Truma Tmeya? And the answer is because the Truma is already Tmeya, and we're going to say in Isur Chal Isur, but Shani Hossam, that's the exception to the rule. The rule is that that in general Isur is Chal Isur, but here it's different because Mi'et Rachmanu Mesubo, special pasuk. Ibai saying the second answer, the Alma Kosav Shmuel, any Isur Chal Isur. But the exception is going to be here in the case of Basa B'cholav, Shani Hochad the Rabbi Rachmanu Gedi. Right, he has a special pasuk of Gedi, but that's not a binyan av to set up a general universal rule, but rather it's an exception to the rule. Or Ibai Sema, the third answer, the three answers. Hadidei Hadarabbe. Shmuel himself holds that Isur Chal Isur. Rabbi Eliezer holds that ain't Isur Chal Isur. But Shmuel was only reporting Rabbi Eliezer. He didn't agree with Rabbi Eliezer. Boy, mine Rav achte boy bar ami mirav hamavashel bechalev gedi shelo yinika mahu. Right. Let's say we're talking about a female goat, a kid, but it never lived long enough to give birth. It apparently developed milk in its udders. Maybe it was pregnant. But it was never a mother, because this is the first birth. So maybe it's not Chalev Imo, because it never had nursed with its milk. Amalei. So Rav Achdeboy responds and he says, only in the case of a Zachar does Shmuel apply the exclusion of a Chalev Imo. Is Zachar who delo asi lichlal emu will never become a mother. Aval high kevan de aim. It's pregnant and eventually it will give birth. That's enough to be considered also it's part of basar b'chol. Itmar hamavashil chelev b'cholav. Okay, he's got chelev and cholav, and we said that if you hold Isur Chalal Isur, then you're going to be chai for both for basar b'cholav, because chaylev is considered basar, and for eating chaylev. But yet, Rabbi Ami, Rav Asi, Chad Omer Loke, Chad Omer Eno Loke. As far as basar b'cholav is concerned, according to one of these two opinions, ein Isur Chalal Isur, and you won't get an additional Isur for eating basar b'cholav, you'll be chayiv only for eating chaylev. And according to the others, we're going to say like Shmuel, Isur Chalal Isur in this case, or the special rebbe of Gedi, and he's chayiv 2 sets of malchus. Lema b'hakamifli mar amar loka kasaver Isur Chalal Isur mar diomar eno loka kasaver ein Isur Chalal Isur. As we just said, look. Gemara rejects it. Kuli alma ein Isur Chalal Isur. The Gemara has like a vested interest in pushing that ein Isur Chalal Isur. Apparently, that is the generally accepted sheet, and therefore achila de kuli alma lo plig. Surely, if he eats this cooked chalev with basa with chalav, he's going to incur 2 sets of malchus. That's in the case of eating it. But ki pligi, where's the issue? Bishul. Mandio Maloka, according to Mandio, it says he's chayv malchus charisuru, meaning that we can't apply the principle of ein Isur Chalal Isur on bishul because bishul stands on its own. It's not a pre-existing Isur. The Torah wanted to use the bishul as your paradigm for achila, and it calls achila by the word bishul. It never in the Torah does it say lo tochal basar b'chol. It only says lo tavashal basar b'chol. It's kevan dial achila lo loki. He will not get malchus for achilas basar b'chol because ein Isur Chalal Isur, and it's already also b'toras chaylev. It's a bishul nami lo loki. He's not chayiv for the bishul. Okay, then, so this is where we'll stop. And tomorrow's Friday, so I guess we get together at 9:30. If it's okay with you, maybe we could start a drop later, like 9:45 or 10. Is that?
Should be fine.
All right, so let's call it for 9:45.
Okay.
Just remind me.